good day everyone. So one day I read about the story about Mephibosheth, Jonathan, and David. Mephibosheth was the grandson of King Saul and the son of Jonathan. You may recall that Saul's son, Jonathan, and David were best friends. They actually entered into a covenant relationships similar to the ancient covenant of being blood brothers. That means whatever one had, it belonged to the other. If Jonathan needed food, clothing, or money, he could go over to David's house and get whatever he needed. Moreover, in the covenant relationship, if something were to happen to one of those two men, the remaining brother would be obligated to take care of the other's family. King Saul and Jonathan were killed in battle on the same day, and when word got back to the palace, a servant grabbed Mephibosheth's little son, packed him up, and took off running, going out of Jerusalem in such haste. The servant tripped and fell while carrying the child. Mephibosheth became crippled as a result of the fall. The servant transported Jonathan's son all the way to a city called Lodebar, one of the most poverty-stricken, desolate cities in that entire region. This is where Mephibosheth, grandson of the king, lived almost his entire life. Now think about that. He was the grandson of the king, yet he was living in those terrible conditions. David succeeded Saul as king, and years later, long after Saul and Jonathan were mere memories in the minds of most people, David asked his staff the question, "Is there anyone left from the house of Saul that I could show kindness to for Jonathan's sake?" Remember, that was part of the covenant Jonathan and David had entered. "If something happens to me, you will take care of my family." But by now, most of Saul's family was dead, and thus David's question. One of David's staff members replied, "Yes, David, Jonathan has a son that's still alive, but he's crippled. He lives in Lodebar." David said, "Go, get him and bring him to the palace." When Mephibosheth arrived, he was no doubt fearful. After all, his grandfather had chased David throughout the country trying to kill him. Now that Saul's family had been discriminated and was no longer a threat to David, Mephibosheth may have felt that David planned to execute him as well. But David said to him, "Don't be afraid. I'm going to show kindness to you. Because of your father Jonathan, I'm going to give you back all the land that once belonged to your father Saul. And from this day forward, you will eat at my table as though you are one of my sons." David treated Mephibosheth as royalty. After all, he was the grandson of the king, and David was in a covenant relationship with his father. Mephibosheth's life was transformed instantly. That's the good news. But think of all the years that he lived in that dirty city of Lodebar. All the while, he knew he was royalty. Beyond that, it was commonly known that David and Jonathan were in a covenant relationship. Based on that alone, Mephibosheth knew he had rights. Why didn't he just go into the palace and say, "King David, I'm Jonathan's son. I'm living in poverty down in Lodebar, and that I know that I'm made for more than that. I'm here to claim what belongs to me through my father's covenant relationship with you. Why did Mephibosheth settle for mediocrity? We catch a clue from his initial response to David. When David told him that he was going to take care of him, the Bible says Mephibosheth bowed his head. Don't settle for mediocrity.